As Ramadan approaches, my kitchen just starts to fill with those sweet, familiar smells of the season. And for me, nothing, and I mean nothing, says Ramadan quite like Qatayef. It's a dessert I've spent years getting just right, and today I'm so excited to share my completely foolproof recipe with you. We're going to create something really special, right in your own kitchen. And I don't use the word perfect lightly here. This one single recipe is the key to all three classic styles. Whether you love them deep fried and super crispy, baked to a gorgeous golden brown, or served fresh and soft with that creamy filling, the asafiri style, I promise you, even if this is your very first time making them, you are going to be blown away by what you can do.
All right, so here's our game plan. Every great recipe has its secrets, right? Well, today we're unlocking all of them. We'll start with that essential sweet syrup, then dive into the heart of it all, the batter. We'll get that cooking technique down pat, explore three amazing fillings, and then, the best part, we'll put it all together. Let's get started.
Okay, rule number one for perfectly crispy Qatayef begins right here with the syrup. We absolutely have to make it first so it has tons of time to cool down completely. Trust me on this one, it is the secret, the absolute foundation for getting that perfect crunchy texture we're all after. Okay, let's do this. In a pot, you're going to combine your sugar, water, and just a little squeeze of lemon juice. Now, the lemon isn't just for flavor, it's what stops the sugar from turning into crystals. Bring it to a rolling boil over high heat, and whatever you do, resist the urge to stir it. Just let the heat work its magic. Once it's boiling, turn the heat way down and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. It'll thicken up into this beautiful, glossy syrup. Then just pour it into a bowl and set it aside to cool down completely. I'm going to say this again because it is so important. Cold syrup meets warm Qatayef. That temperature shock is what makes the pastry unbelievably crispy. If your syrup is even a little bit warm, you'll end up with a soft, soggy Qatayef. And hey, we are aiming for perfection today, right? All right, while our syrup is cooling, let's make the heart and soul of our Qatayef, the batter. And you know what? You don't need a blender, you don't need any fancy gadgets. I'm going to show you how to get a perfectly smooth, velvety batter with just a good old-fashioned bowl and a whisk. So let's talk dry ingredients. The base is simple all-purpose flour, but the secret to that classic texture is fine semolina. It adds this subtle, really pleasant bite. I also like to add a bit of powdered milk, mostly for a richer color, and a tiny pinch of malab for that authentic bakery smell. If you can't find malab, don't even worry about it, it's totally optional. Then we've got our dream team of leavening agents, yeast, baking powder, and baking soda, working together for those perfect bubbles. And of course, a little salt to make all the flavors pop. And for our wet ingredient, that's it. Just one, warm water. You want it to feel kind of like a baby's bath. Not hot, not cold, just right. That temperature is absolutely perfect for waking up the yeast gently without hurting it. That's the key to getting a light, airy pancake.
All right, time to mix. First, give all your dry ingredients a good whisk in a big bowl. We want to make sure everything is distributed nice and evenly. Then just pour in all of the warm water at once. Now get in there and whisk like you mean it until that batter is completely smooth. Scrape down the sides, get the bottom of the bowl. We want 0 lumps.
The moment it's smooth, stop whisking. And here is another huge secret. Let the batter rest for only 10 to 15 minutes. Seriously, set a timer. This short little nap is just enough time to hydrate the flour and wake up the yeast. If you let it rest any longer, it's going to over-ferment and you'll get these big, ugly holes in your pancakes instead of those beautiful, delicate bubbles. Okay, let's check on our batter. The perfect consistency is probably thinner than you'd think. It's more like a crepe batter, not a thick American pancake batter. It should pour from a spoon in a nice, steady stream, but still be just thick enough to coat the back of the spoon. When you see that, you know it's ready for the pan.
Okay, our batter has had its little rest, our syrup is nice and cool. It is time to head to the stove. This is where the magic happens, you guys. This is where we turn that liquid batter into those gorgeous little pancakes with that iconic lacy top.
So, this is the part where a lot of people get tripped up. How in the world do you get that beautiful surface that's covered in all those tiny, perfect bubbles and not those big gaping holes? Well, the secret isn't actually in the batter. It's all about the pan. It is all about heat control. And here is exactly what I'm talking about. On the left, that's our goal, a pan on low, steady heat. This gentle cooking lets those perfect little bubbles form while the top surface dries out slowly, staying pale and soft. Now on the right, well, that's what happens when the heat is too high. The batter cooks way too fast, creating huge holes and a dry, cracked top that's going to be impossible to seal later. Let me give you a few more pro tips for success. First, if you have one, use a heavy-bottomed non-stick pan. It just heats up so much more evenly. Second, if your pancakes start cooking too fast, don't panic. Just lift the pan right off the heat for a few seconds to let it cool down. Third, when they're done, put them on a clean towel and let them air out for a minute before you cover them. This stops them from getting all steamy and soggy. And last, for the absolute best taste and texture, try to fill them the same day you make them. Look at that. We have a beautiful stack of soft, perfect pancakes ready to go. Now we get to my favorite part, the fillings. I'm going to show you how to make 3 classic options: a rich, nutty one, a light and creamy one, and one with a little savory surprise. Let's start with the classic nut filling. My absolute favorite is a mix of toasted walnuts and hazelnuts. We're just going to mix those with a little powdered sugar for sweetness, a tiny pinch of cinnamon for warmth, and here's my secret weapon: 1 tablespoon of melted butter. The butter is so key here. It helps bind everything together so the filling stays neatly inside when we go to cook them. Next up, a super easy version of kishta or clotted cream. It's a 2-step process. First, we'll make a simple pudding. You whisk powdered milk, cornstarch, semolina, and sugar together with cold water. It is so important to mix it while it's cold to avoid lumps. Then, you cook it over medium heat, stirring the whole time until it gets really, really thick. Pop that in the fridge to chill completely. Once it's cold and firm, you whip in some cream powder and vanilla until it turns into this light, fluffy, absolutely divine filling. It's amazing. Okay, for anybody out there who loves that sweet and salty combo, you have got to try this. Just fill the pancakes with some shredded sweet akawai or halloumi cheese. It's a wonderfully simple, traditional filling that is just out of this world delicious, especially after a dip in that sweet syrup. Well, all our components are ready. We've got our perfect pancakes, we've got our delicious fillings. Now it is time for the most satisfying step of all: bringing our Qatayef masterpieces to life. So putting them together is super simple. For the nut or cheese fillings, the ones we're going to cook, just put a spoonful on 1/2 of the pancake. Then fold it over into a little half moon and pinch those edges together really, really firmly. You want a perfect seal. For the asafiri style, you take a smaller pancake, spoon in that beautiful cream filling, and just pinch it halfway, leaving the top open like a cute little cone. And at last are 3 amazing ways to serve them. You can deep fry the sealed ones until they're golden and then plunge them straight into our cold syrup for that incredible crunch. For a lighter version, brush them with melted butter and bake them till they're crisp. And those beautiful asafiri, we serve those fresh, just as they are. That contrast of the soft pancake and the cool, luscious cream, it is just perfection. So there you have it, one single master recipe that unlocks every single style of this incredible dessert. You've learned all the little tips and tricks, and I have absolutely no doubt you are going to be so proud of what you create in your kitchen. You know, this recipe is your foundation, but the real magic happens when you start to make it your own. So my question for you is, now that you've totally mastered the classics, what's next? What new fillings are you going to invent? What new traditions are you going to start in your own kitchen? The possibilities are absolutely endless. Happy cooking, everyone.